Hey, it's Flannel Boy, and as Christmas is less than a week away from us, I'd like to do something Christmas-like for the topic today.
Ooh, let me guess, a Christmas Story.
Yeah, well, a movie can't really jump the shark. It doesn't last long enough to do that. It's either good or bad, but I will talk about Christmas movies a bit. Nothing in the pop culture catalog is quite as traditional as the films we watch the first 4 weeks of December. Except the same music we've been listening to since 1949, and the blatant rip-offs of those songs, and... Okay, I sidetracked myself a bit there. But Christmas movies in the days leading up to Christmas are just as traditional as, and often as old as, the music. And I love every single one of them, because they are all terrible! Every family comedy scene with someone getting injured putting up the lights. Every time someone learns that Christmas isn't just about getting presents. Every single Christmas Carol adaptation.
By the way, Three Spirits said something to me that they were going to come and see you or something tonight, so...
Oh, thank you for the heads up. Merry Christmas.
Right, Merry Christmas.
It's the most hackneyed genre of film possible, old or new, classic or not. You heard me, George Bailey, and your squeaky, pathetic children. This means you, Miracle on Whatever Street, whose justice system I no longer trust. Even the stop-motion shorts that are based on songs. And of course, copycats thereof. And that's why, if you read the title, you'll know that I chose an actor who has not been in one, but 4 Christmas movies throughout his career. Not just 4 of the classic ones I've been trashing for the past minute or so either, but 4 family comedies. I love those words. Maybe it's because I've been growing up on stellar Pixar films my whole life, but it seems like every time I hear that phrase it means I got a new idea for an episode. This is the type of movie where, Dad's being a grumpy pants about Christmas, and he has to set up all the lights and get the tree, and that just makes him hate it even more. But then, something happens which reveals to him the true spirit of Christmas, and everything ends Christmassy ever after. Also gonna note that unless you live in Canada, that level of snow means late January, not late December. What, all my viewers in California don't believe me? Please, send a complaint letter to my address during the year. But Tim Allen wasn't always an actor in cheap and derivative movies. Once he had his own cheap and derivative TV show, too. Throughout the 90s, Home Improvement was the poor man's Full House. And since they were both on ABC, one an hour after the other, I'm wondering why anybody would watch Home Improvement if they already had... Oh, that's right, Pamela Anderson. Actually, in the 93-94 season, Home Improvement had the #2 rating of all U.S. network TV shows, narrowly beating out... I'm constantly being reminded that though 90s people had great taste in rock music and variety shows, their taste in sitcoms, especially during the first half, were lackluster. Totally! What did you do with that side of the room? Well, if you want to make a ghost effect, then we're limited to what you have in iMovie, okay? This isn't the Ghostbusters or something. Now listen to me, Flannel Boy. Look at the chains that you are forging in life. That you're wearing on your shoulders right now. What, my flannel shirt? Exactly! I am the ghost of Christmas 80s. And you have been most down on Christmas stuff, Flannel Boy, especially the movies and music. Which you stole from the 40s and 50s. What's your point? Observe your past! Usually that works. Maybe, I don't know, on older people? Yeah, usually I can transport people back in time to see themselves in the 80s, but it doesn't work for people 22 and under for some reason. Right, see you later. Right, so Home Improvement, on the funny and inventive scale, was better than Full House, but not so funny as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And during its run, Tim Allen saw his first starring role in a motion picture. Directing was the producer of Home Improvement, John Pasquin, so you can probably guess how this was going to end up. The result was The Santa Claus, which has probably been on various networks over 80 times during the past 5 weeks. But, for a Christmas film, I like this better than most. Yes, it is designed to appeal to a family audience, even going so far as to not tell the kiddies that Santa isn't real. And this was its poster. Jokes don't get any better than that in the movie, folks, sorry to say. Oh, Disney, you couldn't resist, could you? But despite that, they do make an original plot out of it. Tim Allen has to become Santa because of some third world rights-waiving contract clause, and voila, he is molested by the symptoms of being fat, bearded, and elf-laden. I've got to find some way to make this happen to all my mortal enemies. But right now, having it happen to Tim Allen is fine. It's the same message and tone, but at least it's delivered in a different manner than the usual. Then Pasquin and Allen made Jungle 2 Jungle, which was yet another Disney-fied family thing without any humor or substance. Okay, Tim Allen made 3 amazing movies during the course of his career, and you know what they all are. Toy Stories, all of them, were by far my favorite use of Tim Allen anywhere. It also launched him into a spacesuit instead of a Santa suit or a tool belt. He has a distinctive voice, and he uses it so well, and since he isn't writing any of this, Pixar had really good writers who could use that distinctive voice to their advantage. Just how famous was Buzz Lightyear? Well, we all know the catchphrase to infinity and beyond, just like Tim himself would say it. Let's look at Galaxy Quest for a bit. Released the same year as Toy Story 2 was, with Tim Allen alongside Sigourney Weaver, also being typecast as a sci-fi person, and Alan Rickman, who was not in the fantasy crowd yet.
Up to something.
It was also, as fate would have it, released on Christmas Day 1999. And it was by DreamWorks, still struggling to get that leg up on Disney in terms of animated films, but having proven that they were effective in making good live-action films with the previous year's Saving Private Ryan, which starred Tom Hanks, who was in Toy Story alongside Tim Allen. Wait, I think I'm circling around here. Where's Kevin Bacon in all this? Nevertheless, Galaxy Quest was apparently the best Star Trek parody of all time, with all the old guard of the Star Trek like Shatner, Stewart, and Takei laughing exceptionally hard at it. No word from LeVar Burton, though. Just another tally for Takei on my long-standing list of whether Takei or Burton is cooler. They won awards, they won critical praise, and that carried Tim Allen out of Home Improvement and into the new millennium.
Okay, so I am the ghost of like Christmas 2000s in order to show you the error of your 90s ways.
And how do you in any fashion represent the present?
What a story, Mark!
Well, at least you can take me back to see my past, unlike the 80s.
Whoa, man, turn back time? I mean, I guess 80s could with his, like, DeLorean, but I can't do that. If I could do that, I would have, like, turned back time and not voted for Jim Carrey.
John Kerry.
Or Darth Vader.
Ralph Nader.
Or Gavin Rossdale.
George Bush. So despite my having spent the majority of my Christmases within the confines of your decade, you can't do that.
Yeah, whatever, 90s. I'm going to take a nap.
Why does everybody think I'm the 90s? Here you go, keep the change. Hey, doggy, thanks a lot, bye. With the way these are going, I'm afraid of what the future's like. Unfortunately, the next big film he starred in was Joe Somebody, with Pasquin again, which has one of the most boring premises I have ever heard of, and had Patrick Warburton as the main antagonist, who played Buzz Lightyear in the 2000s TV series, about the character that was inspired by Tim's own stellar performance, and I'm never getting back to Kevin Bacon this way. Point is, Tim has always worked with the same people, and he wasn't going to change much over the next decade, which is why they made 2 more sequels of The Santa Claus, neither of which was going to be anything but Disney predictability. Basically, you got typecast. You're either the space guy or the Christmas guy if you want to score a leading role anywhere else again, and if not, well, then you can be a dog for Disney. Wow, for such a pure, high-image company, Disney does evil things to people. It's going to be difficult for me to say this since I did like Toy Story 3 and even to a very small extent Tim Allen's performance in Wild Hogs, which was outside his usual work. That can get a laugh. But the date Tim Allen jumped the shark was late 2004. I'm gonna give the date November 24th, but, well, you'll see. Christmas with the Cranks came out in 2004. Now this was a Christmas film with all the Santa Claus scraped off, just another standard. Scrooging it up? Check. Kids forcing you into Christmas? Check. Carolers annoying you? Check. Paint and putting up lights? Check. Grocery store antics? Check. Happy moral about what Christmas truly means? Oh yeah. Wait, don't roll those credits yet! We still have to work in a talking snowman! Here's some context from the whole year, though. Toy Story 2 was still by far the best sequel Disney had ever had anything to do with. The Santa Claus 2 definitely notwithstanding. And Michael Eisner, who was still in charge at that time, was interested in making a third Toy Story. Disney didn't own Pixar at that point, and Pixar withheld the right to refuse to work on the films, though Disney had the right to make them on their own. Tim Allen said that he would return for any Disney non-Pixar Toy Story films. Again, let me remind you that Disney non-Pixar Toy Story spin-offs looked like this, and Disney non-Pixar sequels looked like this. So basically, Tim Allen was so typecast into the Disney life that he would be in a potentially awful kids movie just to continue his role. Basically, in 2004, he got so Disney-fied that he could never recover. He was truly Disney's dog. Sorry, Iggy. One more thing that year that may or may not have anything to do with any of this is The Polar Express. The Polar Express was not a Disney movie, nor did it have Tim Allen in it, but it was a Christmas movie, and it did have Tom Hanks. The plot was general adventure, and the message was Christmas-tastic. For an adaptation of a Chris Van Allsburg book that didn't have too much to offer in the first place, well, they overdo it by a long shot. What have we proved again and again? Kids' books do not 2-hour movies make. Maybe, just maybe, did you use Tom Hanks as a lead in a CGI Christmas film because his CGI co-star is Mr. Disney Christmas? Tim, did you drag Tom into the Christmas pit with you? Well, maybe I'm just being paranoid. Wait a second. Tom Hanks. I smell deep fried chicken. No, bacon. I smell bacon. Tom Hanks was in Apollo 13 with Kevin Bacon. Yes! I remember, before my time, people used to play that game. Oh God, does William Shatner acting make a huge comeback in the future? Well, we prefer to believe that he never really left. Well, do we at least get to time travel to see my grave or something? Unfortunately, no. See, if we traveled back in time, we would create an alternate timeline as opposed to what would actually happen. This Shatner thing is just a guess. Ironic, isn't it, how I, as the future, don't know much about myself as the future. Well, I don't know a lot about the future, but I do know one thing about the past. 2004, the year Tim Allen jumped the shark. Merry Christmas!